and welcome back to Topstep TV, research director at stockbrokers.com, Jessica Inskip. Jessica, thanks for taking flight with me today on this SpaceX IPO day. How are you doing today?
It is my pleasure. I'm excited for this journey, and I'm really disappointed that I did not put on some space gear because I'm loving this, Jay.
If it's any consolation, it is super hot in here. I know it's like 90 degrees in New York right now. It's like 130 in this spacesuit, so you're not missing anything. But thanks for joining us on this Friday again. Historic IPO day, the largest IPO in the history of IPOs. Valuation $1.7 trillion. We were just talking about it. IPO price was $135, maybe opening up at 174. What are your thoughts, Jessica, on the SpaceX IPO? How is that going to have an effect on the markets, and anything you're planning for IPO day?
Yeah, I think it's going to have a huge impact on the market. So I'm not going to really trade it all today. I think there's some volatility that's going to happen. So I'm going to sit back and watch, but I can give you some important aspects if we want to talk about that. So the last bigger IPOs as of late have started trading around 1 p.m. So I'm not going to expect us to trade until any later than 1 p.m. and we'd be very surprised. Morgan Stanley is the one that's running the stabilization. So paying attention to that. Essentially what they're doing is everyone got their allocation of shares that happened, I believe, by the end of last night. 20% seems like it was allocated to retail, but even those that were not retail weren't happy with their subscriptions or what they received from allocations. What does that tell us? That tells us insatiable demand. We already knew that, but when we're considering where it's going to open in stabilization, what they look at is supply and demand imbalances. So you're right, it started with 174 and moved to 175. Now it's got a range of 170 to 175. That's going to shift throughout the day until we get to whenever it opens some point today. And then of course, trading activity is going to go absolutely crazy. And then there's some market measures to stabilize it that can happen on almost like a little range that they can keep everything in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. But what I think the key takeaway is from just an IPO market mechanics perspective is we're understanding supply and demand imbalances. Everyone here who watches this show and is a part of it, I hear Hogue talk about that a lot, looking at supply and demand imbalances or order imbalances. Kind of think of it in those terms. And that's how we're going to consider pricing. So that's one component where we're going to open up. But how it means for the bigger market, I think there are a lot of things that we're not talking about. One, this is a stress test for OpenAI and Anthropic and the IPO pipeline to heat up. Now, the IPO pipeline has slowly been heating up, and this is going to light a fire underneath it. There's been a lot of comparisons of artificial intelligence to the dot-com bubble. One component of the dot-com bubble that we have not been able to mirror is the huge influx of IPOs. Now, I don't think we're necessarily going to see that because there's a different dynamic. It's build in the private markets and then go public. It's
because this has
capital.
been cooking for a while now. This has been cooking for a while. We were talking about some of the investment. I think Alphabet has been invested in SpaceX since 2008, I believe. So there's already the investment, and now it's okay. Let's bring this to the public and let the general market have access to it as well. But yeah, keep going there, Jessica.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. It's different. I hate saying this time is different, but this time is really different. It's a bigger company. It's not a company in a garage that is listing on the stock exchange to raise capital. It's different now since the great financial crisis, and VCs who came in and sucked up all those liquidity needs, which is where those concerns are and where stress is, but that's actually healthier from the monetary system perspective. So that's one component. The second is when we're considering the consumer, and we talk about that K-shaped economy where the upper wealthy is just getting wealthier and wealthier. And then the lower income, unfortunately, is just becoming so constrained. And that's the longer that is, the bigger concern that it is. And it leads me to talking about the Fed, but we'll stay away from that from now because I know I go down get my microphone and go through a little rant there. Nonetheless, I digress. This is going to widen that because the allocations even to retail, when I worked there, it is a hierarchy system. And if you are more wealthy, you tend to get allocated more shares. So it's interesting to see how that is. Obviously, I don't know that exactly. That's just anecdotal based on my experience. So please understand that. But the wealth effect is something to be cognizant of. And if we look at the
Okay.
CPI data and the inflation data, a part of the big increase is actually financial services increasing. And so that comes with the market goes higher. That's naturally comes within the inflation data. So not necessarily a surprise there, but it attributes to that widening K-shaped economy. Now, my big concern is actually going to come on Monday
Monday.
because we
Okay.
have Monday as T+1. That's going to be our trade settlement day. This is where liquidity crunches and the test truly will be. And poorly timed, whoever did this, June 15th is also a quarterly tax payment day, which you
Uh,
tend to see a lot of money market redemption. So if you think about just the mechanics of retail accessing the stock market, you tend to see a sellout of a money market or your default fund, and that settles when the trade settles, like the whole purpose of it. So if we're
right.
going to have all of that settlement on the same day, that can be a test. But last time we had a test like this was October 31st of 2025. There was a lot of
Okay.
redemptions, and that is when Powell started introducing or he didn't call it quantitative easing, but it was where he added more reserves to the balance sheet because we needed an ample reserves regime. And that's something that just keeps the liquidity system in place without going into the details. It's all the reverse repo market is really what that accesses. So that's what I'm watching. I know that was a lot, Jay, that I brought to you, but
Hey,
it's an
I got a,
interesting
I have
dynamic.
I have a date here to keep on my calendars, June 15th of next week. Let's talk a little bit about the inflation data. We got CPI, PPI out this week. PPI came in pretty much in line with expectations. Core PPI was a little bit lower than expectations. What are you taking from those numbers, if anything at all? I know the PPI number normally, do we normally get PPI before CPI? Is that correct? And it kind of leads to the next CPI number. What are you taking from those numbers we had?
Yeah, so I actually think it was good data despite the headlines. I made a long TikTok on this one for fun, but you actually, if you look at core goods, and we talked about this, I saw tariffs inflation being removed, and then the Strait of Hormuz or oil related inflation starting to show up within the data. Now, the only way we could look through that is if we had a deal on the table that at least from a market perspective, the way that oil is reacting, it looks like the market believes that it's this one. I don't want to say it's different this time because it's too close. Comparing the
Agreed.
1990s to current is not is different here, but I would take that one with a grain of salt. I think the name of the game is uncertainty. Uncertainty, especially if it's utilized as a negotiation tactic. We saw that within tariffs. However, what I do see, my known unknown, is the way that oil has reacted. And the way oil has reacted is telling me that the market is looking through this and absolutely believes the administration that a deal is on the table or enough information to move past it. And perhaps maybe we're looking at the IPO, but that really bodes us well for I see a bullish week next week. And I know last time I talked about that 8,300 level on the equal weight index. That's where we found support. We got that truth social or tweet, whatever you want to call it. And boom, rally
Yeah.
mode we went into. And then we have the Fed next week, Jay. So let's
Yes, we
dissect that
do.
guy.
Yes, we do. We have the Fed next week. I think, Jessica, you might be joining us on Monday to talk about that Fed. Uh,
I am.
Kevin Warsh's first meeting as Fed chair. I do want to stick with this oil thing really quick because we got oil right now
Sure.
trading $86.31, and it has been looking, from a technical perspective, pretty bearish. We had the lowest close we've had yesterday in oil since April 25th in the oil futures.
Mm-hmm.
But that uncertainty still lives out there. Yesterday, we got that Truth Social post, like you said, the president saying we are pretty close to a deal at the end of at the close yesterday. We thought we had a deal. And then this morning, we get another Truth Social post where he says there was leaked terms for that deal and maybe it hasn't been signed. And in all of that, what I'm saying here, Jessica, is that it's still so uncertain. And
It
it seems
is.
like, and you, the first time you came on Topstep TV, you said this, the markets are just going to move on. Right now, we're focusing on SpaceX. It's probably going to be something else down the line. And we can look forward to that Fed next week. Anything else you want to leave our chat with here? Jessica, you said you put a long video out on TikTok, and I don't watch anything on TikTok, but I might have to follow Jessica Inskip. Anything you want to leave our chat with today?
Yeah, that's all right. It's on Instagram too. So
Oh, there you
choose
go.
your own adventure. I think with the SpaceX IPO, it's got insatiable demand. So certainly watch that. No, there are safeguards in place that will keep it somewhat in a range that it's called the greenshoe. So if it goes too high, there's stabilization to calm it down. If it goes too low, there's stabilization to calm it down. I don't want to call that market manipulation. That is market mechanics, and it's safeguards for retail investors. So technical levels are important to understand today, but we need time to assess that. So that's takeaway number one. If you really want to have a fun time, go look up the S1 for the SpaceX IPO. It's like a choose your own adventure. Are they a hyperscaler? Are they a data center? Are they an AI company? It's interesting, but and then I guess the other thought that's been mulling in my mind today is when Elon Musk got involved in politics, believe is the right word, he started getting more of a PR problem and that was affecting Tesla stock. I'm wondering if this
Okay.
will possibly alleviate that because he's being that aspirational leader saying, let's make science fiction, not fiction. You're going to visit
Yeah.
Mars one day. He has high hopes and dreams, but that instills confidence in market participants. And so it's interesting to see how the market digests that. So watching Tesla stock, I think, is going to be interesting today. And then also there was that interesting thing in Times Square that no one knows who put it there, and there are bodyguards, and people are asking them, "Why are they
I
standing
missed
there?
that
Who
one.
hired them?" No one knows. It's a big blow up
Same.
of Elon Musk that is negative is the right word. And that in
Interesting.
Nasdaq is where it's opening, so it's right there. So
Right.
it's very
That sounds
interesting.
like a very, very New York thing to do.
It is.
Very New York thing to do. I'm looking at Tesla right now. Tesla trading $393, down 1.3%. So we will keep an eye on that as well. Jessica, I want to thank you again for dropping some knowledge on us. Chat, I say it all the time. Anytime Jessica's here, make sure you grab a pen and paper, take some notes, and maybe rewatch this segment. For the people who are wondering, where can they find more Jessica Inskip? Where can they find you on the interwebs, Jessica?
I'm mainly most active on Instagram and TikTok as of late. Sometimes that shifts. I do go on threads and answer people for fun sometimes. Nonetheless,
Okay.
thank you for putting me in your orbit, Jay. I'm trying to play on this little space theme. It's fun.
I love it, Jessica. Awesome stuff. Thank you for helping us out here, Jessica. We'll see you again on Monday. Again, research director at stockbrokers.com, Jessica Inskip. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
Bye.